Greetings, and you know what, it's one of those LGR things that I just want to talk about because I've had it sitting on my shelf for so long now, and it's just been taunting me. This is the Mac Phone Telemanagement System by Intermatrix. No, not Enter the Matrix. Intermatrix, a small little California startup in the 80s, and one of the earlier ones to introduce a Macintosh peripheral in 1984. They actually introduced this at the 1984 computer conference, National Computer Conference rather, in Las Vegas. And really what it is, it's a phone, a regular phone that literally adheres to the side of a Macintosh computer, and you can make phone calls, and the software helps you do phone related things. And yeah, the whole idea here, well, here's what the Mac Phone does. It is a powerful information and management tool, ideal for business people, students, homemakers, and anyone. Whoever uses a telephone. Why, that's everybody. Forget your calendar, your desk clock, your Rolodex, notepad, pen, programmable telephone, all these kind of things. All you need is this. Some of these images look more like dating ads or something. I don't really know what they were going for here. For Macintosh lovers only. Who can resist this guy with his Mac phone? And for the pleasure, you'd be paying $199.95, or over $600 now, adjusted for inflation. Yeah, when this thing launched in 1984, it was not cheap. And you know, contrary to what this shows, this is not a wireless handset. There should be a cable going between those. This is just a regular corded landline. You're mostly just paying for the software here. And I mean, that's still a lot to pay, but you know what? All business software was costly in '84. Heck, just a copy of Telos File Vision for the Mac was $195, and that didn't even have a cheap phone with it. And that really is all it is, just a phone and some software. It doesn't have a modem built in or anything. It's just a handset that connects to your phone line and the Macintosh through the Macintosh speaker output. So yeah, you could use the software on its own. There's nothing intelligently connecting the phone and the program. It just sends DTMF tones through the built-in sound output of the Mac, and then that's routed to the handset. I did also see them mention that it could be used with voice synthesizers like the $150 Smooth Talker program by First Byte, something we'll have to try. Fun fact, that actually turned into Monologue for MS-DOS, and that was later licensed by Creative Labs and was used in Dr. Spatzo. But yeah, I've been wanting to cover the Mac Phone for so long. It's just one of the many, many nuts accessories for the early Mac. I mean, you have things like the Mac Bottom, the Mac Station, the Mac Charlie, the Mac Tilt. And amusingly, the Intermatrix Mac Phone was not the only Mac phone device, you know, technically. If you look in the book Design Forward by Hartmut Esslinger of the Frog Design Company, who came up with the Snow White design language and a million other things, but they worked with Apple and they did some prototypes, all kinds of beautiful stuff, much of which did not make it into production, including the Mac Phone. Now, this is just a mock-up design study prototype thing for the Snow White design language that we're working through, but yeah, they called it Mac Phone. Had like a touchscreen kind of thing going on. I mean, I don't think it ever really was real, but you know, pretty neat. In terms of Intermatrix, well, like I said, they were a small company in California, specifically North Hollywood. They operated out of this building, which is still there, for a couple of years at least. So they released the Mac Phone at the tail end of '84, and also a program called Checkbook, checking account management software for the Mac, in 1985. And that's it. The trail kind of goes cold from there, and the Mac Phone is kind of their most well-known, but still a pretty darn obscure product. As a result, it's just a rare, weird collectible for rare collectible weirdos. And it is time to open it up, and we're going to set it up with the Mac and run it through its paces. And there we go. Unfortunately, this is all that is in the box for mine. It would have originally come with some documentation and software and floppy disk, but I don't have those. In fact, I can't find a copy of the manual. I did find a copy of the floppy. Yeah, this is the whole thing right here. We have a speaker right there, presumably. a couple of RJ11 pass-throughs for your landline telephone, and well, one to go into the handset that didn't have a cable with that. Don't know if it did originally. This is the only cable that's attached, and yeah, it is just 3.5mm audio. Connects to the Macintosh, and yeah, it just mounts to the side of it somehow. I don't know if it came with mounting stuff or not originally. Again, this is all I got, but I do, of course, have some of these lying around, and there we go. Our telephone situation. I'm gonna ring her on and off, place to write down phone numbers. Let's go ahead and get this set up, test it out. Well, okay then. This did not go as planned. It never really does. Even with something as simple as the Mac phone, you're still relying on mid-80s computer hardware that has a personality of its own, shall we say. So I was trying to find something era appropriate, an early compact Mac to test this with. I've tried 4 different systems. These 2 kind of work. So my Mac 128s, one of them has a power supply issue and an analog board issue. The other one won't even turn on at all. That's probably also a power supply thing. I don't know, I haven't really looked at that one yet. Another Macintosh Plus also has a power supply issue, and it just flicks on and off and on and off and won't quite do anything. And this one mostly works, but yeah, let me just show you. So it'll start up, and well, yeah, here we go. Here's the issue. Since I don't have a floppy disk for the Mac phone software, yeah, I was hoping, or really needing to run the floppy emu here, which I have a disk image for that. But anytime it's plugged in and a floppy drive is going, which this doesn't have a hard drive, so it has to boot off the floppy, it just goes through this boot loop anytime something else is plugged in and is trying to load from a floppy, whether it's the floppy emu or an actual physical external floppy drive. But with nothing else plugged into it, and it tries to read from the floppy, then it's fine. So I'm assuming this probably also has a power supply issue. It's just not getting the voltage it needs to on certain rails. So what I did was I took the floppy emu and then plugged it into this one, and so I made a copy of the floppy, took from the floppy emu, wrote it onto here, and while it reads fine on the Mac SE, on the Mac Plus, all we get right here is it says the disk is damaged. Do you want to initialize it? So I don't know. I've done this multiple times. I've initialized it, or formatted it on here and then wrote it on here. That didn't work. I formatted it on there and then wrote it on there. That didn't work either. So I do. Forget this whole Mac Plus situation. We're just gonna go with this with the slightly wonky display, which is fine. It's still a 1987-ish Macintosh right here. So I wanted one without the slats in front, but So in terms of getting it set up, really all you need to do is you plug the audio cable into the speaker output, and that's that for the hardware side, at least for what it needs from the Mac, because there's nothing really smart going on here. Everything is just handled through software and audio. No fancy modems or any kind of anything, just audio. And so we do have this right here that you plug into your landline telephone wall jack, but I don't have a physical landline here, so I'm going to be using one of these X-Link Bluetooth adapters we've shown before for like the answering machine and probably some other projects I'm forgetting, but yeah, that'll just plug in right here. And it actually doesn't matter which side you plug this into. I've swapped over these in testing and it works the same either way. And once we get this power, it's connecting to Bluetooth with my phone, wherever the heck it is, it's somewhere. And now we should have, yeah, we got a dial tone. Okay, I better not do that, because that will actually dial out. And that's it. You don't even actually have to physically hang it up to hang up. There's this little thing here. So that's what does that. And yeah, the rest is just audio circuitry, hearing things that the Mac makes, and then those sounds get passed through to both the handset and the X-Link in this case, and then off to my phone. So yeah, let's, actually, you know what? I want to hear what the ringer sounds like. Let me make sure that's on. I haven't actually heard that yet, so I'm gonna call my phone from another phone. Deeply mid-80s. I love that. Hello, me. It's me. How is me doing? Oh, pretty good. All right, let's get this onto the side of the Mac Now, I don't actually have the manual for this, or even a copy of it. If anybody has a PDF of that, let me know. But what I do know is, well, what I know from seeing an image, somebody, I guess, had some part of the manual and showed that it initially came with Velcro. So I'm just going to put some of these 3M strips on there. I was thinking maybe it had some kind of mounting hardware because it has these holes for something, but perhaps they're just the holes for holes' sake. I'm not going to judge. So there we go. That'll do the trick, I think. Truly a wart growth type of situation. It's not a tumor, it's a Mac phone. All right, booting up the SE with its rather unusual startup jingle from the previous owner. Someone was dreaming. I wonder if they ever used the Genie online service. Anyway, make sure that the volume is all the way up because we will need it. It doesn't like it if it's too quiet. If we pick this handset up, we do just get the dial tone, but we click the volume here and yeah, you can hear the Mac sounds are coming through that as well. So that's how that works. It's really that simple. So you got this Mac dialer and Mac phone book program. You can reach the phone book from the dialer, so we're just gonna open that. And yeah, this is a selection of this integrated stuff that you see here in the back of the box. So there's our phone book, our current date. Well, close as it can get, not being Y2K compatible. So here is your phone dialing part, or you can just type things in on the numpad to put in a phone number. And whenever you're ready to dial, you just hit dial. We'll show that in a sec. But in terms of the phone book, standard phone book stuff. But you know, this is really a large part of the appeal is having this sort of combination Rolodex / speed dial programmability on your office phone. But you just do it all through the computer. And you also have some of these other things which are kind of interesting. Yeah, your billing rate calculations in case you're charging or being charged to use the phone. So you can have that actually show while you're talking and your consultation rate. Charges and connect time and all that. It'll just calculate that. Yeah, clearly an office-oriented situation in the software. And then this number right here that's just always showing, that is your local number. It's just always displaying that, whatever you put in here. Let's just go ahead and do a phone call though, so you can either enter it right here with the mouse or with the numpad, as I said, or you can skip all that if you want. Do the speed dial through the phone book, of course, or you can do things here and this will just bypass the software and treat it like a normal phone. But why would you do that when you've got this $600 equivalent package here that you paid for in your $2,000 some Mac? My goodness, the 80s. Anyway, let me just call myself. Obviously not my real number. I wish it was. But yeah, let's go ahead and do this. So it'll actually just go ahead and tell you to pick up the phone and you do that and it says calling. It's dialing, and it says it's online, but all I get is the dial tone. And I think maybe the reason for that is because I'm not using a real phone line, and it's maybe the volume is a little different with that X-Link thing. In order to get this to actually work, I've figured out that you have to kind of, yeah, press that and get just blank, no dial tone, and then you can actually let it do its dialing here. So now I'm gonna dial my other phone number. So I'm just gonna leave a message for myself here. Greetings, this is an LGR Mac phone thing. I don't know, I'm just calling myself through 80s technology like a weirdo and recording it, putting it on YouTube. This was what I do with my life. Anyway, bye. Yeah, you just hit stop. So it shows the stop and start time of the conversation, how many minutes of billing, and if you bring up this notes thing here, you can bring up notes. This LGR guy is a real jerk. Never call him again. And that's that. We can show our call log, and it didn't save it for some reason. Did I clear it out accidentally? Yeah, I don't know what's up with that. It should have saved, but it didn't. Well, anyway, that's pretty much what you do here. And let's hear what that voicemail sounded like.
Greetings, this is an LGR Mac phone thing. I don't know, just calling myself through 80s technology like a weirdo and recording it, putting it on YouTube was what I do with my life. Anyway, bye.
Oh, that's so surreal. The mixture of old and new, and I don't know, this always amuses me anytime I get some sort of phone setup going, especially with old computers. I just love this stuff. And as you can tell, the phone quality is not very good. I don't know, it's going through VoIP, Bluetooth, and I bet a million things that could wreck the sound quality. But I'm also interested to see, I mean, because this is just a regular handset. I mean, can we just completely disconnect it and like plug in another phone? This is a pulse dialing phone, not touch tone, but just curious. Can we just use the handset part? Because if my theory is correct and it's just using the handset part and ignoring all the phone stuff, oh yeah. You can totally hear that, so you can just use whatever handset. I'm getting the pulses coming through. So will it ring if I call it? It should. Yeah, totally works. Hey, what's up? Oh no. Yeah, okay. Well. And yeah, because it's not actually connected, like this will not tell you if you're getting a call. You can't answer a call through the Mac or anything. It has no idea what's actually going on with the phone. It just sends out DTMF tones to whatever handset you have plugged in. Another thing we got to try here is that Smooth Talker application that was mentioned. It could be used with this. Of course, you can use anything, but this is what they recommended. And yeah, it's just your basic text-to-speech synthesizer from the 80s.
Testing this out here.
Yeah, it's very quiet coming through there. Ah, I got a volume control there. That makes sense. Let's change that.
Hello, we are calling about your medical extended warranty. It is set to expire immediately and your car will explode. Please press 1 to pay $5,000 for you. Will no longer have a car and its warranty has expired, sucker. Ha 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 ha.
As I was making phone calls earlier, I accidentally opened Siri, and that was working through there as well. And I'm like, okay, yeah, that makes sense, right? Whatever's going through here is going to go through there. That gave me an idea, like just because it seems appropriate, get some vaporwave playing through here, right? Kind of reminds me of like phone hold music from the 80s. And what better choice than Macintosh Plus? Don't need the Mac for this, just the audio cable, right? I miss headphone jacks. Man, at max volume, and it's still very quiet coming through here. So I guess this is just not gonna go very loud no matter what. Yeah, that just sounds correct coming through there. Oh wow, it actually sounds quite a bit louder coming through the speaker on the thing itself. Let's just open this up. I have to know what's inside there. Got a couple screws on the side, one at the bottom, some here. Wow. I knew there couldn't be much going on in here, but wow. So we got like a cone speaker there, some amplification, transformer bits, and just, I don't know, I'm not even sure what that's called, but converting over audio to RJ11, vice versa, you know, whatever. It's doing what it does. A couple resistors, a couple capacitors. Definitely not worth the equivalent of $600 for this. So again, the software was what you're paying for. And now that I touch this, this almost feels like one step above styrofoam. It almost feels like that kind of molded styrofoam that certain higher quality takeout containers are made of. It's the cheapest possible thing. That's the Mac phone. And you know what? I still quite enjoy this doofy thing for what it is. And maybe it was overpriced, maybe it wasn't. I don't know. I wasn't an office person in the 80s. You know, if you already got a Macintosh and you needed a phone setup and yeah, I don't know, you just want to be cool and ahead of the curve with technological telephony, I think pretty neat. Again though, if anybody does have the original manual or disc, a scan, an image, an archive, that would be very welcome because what's out there is kind of iffy. But either way, I hope that you enjoyed seeing this bit of old silliness here on LGR. There's always more stuff like this in the works. And if you'd like to see videos early, do feel free to hit the join button below and become an LGR member. And as always, thanks for watching.